Fellas, I'm back at Chengdu Foxconn. This overpass used to be bustling, but now it's just me and the photographer. The streets used to be jammed with cars, and now there's none. The parking lot across the street used to be full, and now there's not a single car parked. They've started this new schedule that complies with national labor laws, 5 days and 8 hours of work with weekends off. Feels like they're punishing us workers. Without overtime and subsidies, plus weekends off, would you still want to come here and turn screws? You might not even make 3,000 yuan a month, probably just the base pay. Who would want to come under these conditions? We've all got mouths to feed. Well, when they raise the pay to a level we're happy with, then I'll recommend it to everyone. The Apple manufacturer Foxconn, already embroiled in controversies over tax investigations and land usage, is back in the news. Beginning in November, all of Foxconn's factories in mainland China have reportedly implemented a 5-day work week with 8-hour days. This seemingly normal policy announcement has unexpectedly stirred significant uproar among Chinese netizens. For many Foxconn workers, nearly half of their wage income is derived from overtime work. Strict adherence to an 8-hour workday would mean that employees would only earn the local minimum wage, which amounts to roughly 2,000 yuan or $274. After deductions for insurance and other fees, workers might take home less than 1,500 yuan. This amount is insufficient for living in major cities such as Shenzhen and Guangzhou, leading many Foxconn employees to express concerns that without overtime work, they simply cannot make ends meet. A female worker from Foxconn's Chengdu factory expressed her anxiety upon hearing the news of the implementation of the 5-day, 8-hour work week.
Hey fellow Foxconn workers, I've got a question. Everyone's saying that our Chengdu Foxconn is going to switch to a 5-day, 8-hour work system without any overtime. Is that for real? If there's no overtime, does that mean we're just going to get the base salary each month? If that's the case, it won't be enough to cover my expenses for the month. What's the truth? Do you guys know? I was planning to earn some money here for a few months so I can go back home for the new year. If there's no overtime, are there any other decent jobs out there that pay a bit better? I don't mind if it's tough. This is so upsetting. If there's no overtime, are you guys going to keep working here? What are your plans? Do you have any friends to go with? I'm worried. If Foxconn really implements this 5-day, 8-hour system, and if other factories follow suit, I wonder if that's a good or bad thing for us workers.
A local human resources intermediary in Chengdu, who frequently recruits for Foxconn, mentioned that since the new work schedule was implemented, many workers have left the company. However, on November 2nd, a Foxconn employee from Shenzhen clarified that the Shenzhen plants had not implemented the 5-day, 8-hour work week. The recent rumors about Foxconn starting a 5-day, 8-hour work week are really hot on the internet. There are all kinds of speculations online, but as someone who's currently working at Foxconn, I can tell you we're really busy. Last month, I did around 150 hours of overtime. We're slammed. A lot of people only get a day off in 20, or a day off in a month. That's the situation right now. The 5-day, 8-hour thing might be for other divisions or departments. We're in a peak period for overtime. Last month, a lot of people clocked in around 140 to 150 hours of overtime. Veteran employees who've been here for 10 years say they've never seen it this busy. It probably won't be this busy again in the future. This is the peak production season for Foxconn, with the iPhone 15 having been released in September, and the period leading up to Christmas is typically very busy. The timing of the news about the new work week policy is thus met with skepticism, and the internet is rife with speculation. Some believe this move is Foxconn's retaliation against the Chinese Communist Party's scrutiny into its taxes. Foxconn is using their workforce as a pawn, implying that continued investigations could lead to widespread unemployment. Netizens comment that it's unexpected that Foxconn's method of counterattack is compliant with the law, which ironically is causing devastating harm to the working populace. Others see this as Foxconn's attempt to expose the CCP, inadvertently revealing a harsh reality that the basic wages of Chinese manufacturing workers are actually quite low. They point out that the substantial monthly earnings workers get, which can be up to 7,000 or 8,000 yuan, rely heavily on extended overtime work. Who bears responsibility for the current state of affairs? The truth is that no one wants to work 12 hours a day with only 1 day off per month. However, without overtime, they would only earn merely the minimum wage of slightly over 2,000 yuan, which is insufficient for mortgage or car payments, let alone supporting a family. Still, some analysts believe that Foxconn might be using the new workweek schedule to lay off workers indirectly due to reduced orders and a shift in production capacity. One analyst suggests that Foxconn's actions are meant to be provocative.
Foxconn has made a move, implementing a 5-day, 8-hour work week for everyone. It sounds like a good thing, but the employees are unhappy, and there's a lot of complaining online. No overtime means just getting the minimum wage, which cuts the income by more than half. There will definitely be a lot of resignations, and the local unemployment rate will rise. Some might ask, isn't this self-defeating for Foxconn? You think they don't know that? They're doing it on purpose because you're auditing them. They want to make you uncomfortable too. In Foxconn owner Terry Go's words, I set up factories in the mainland to feed you, and I can leave whenever I want. Who's afraid of whom? So Go thinks I feed you and you dare to audit me? Then don't blame me for being unkind.
A female broadcaster also noted that China introduced Foxconn in its early years to capitalize on the Apple industry chain, aiming to build its own electronics and information industry cluster, similar to how it's leveraging Tesla now to create a Chinese electric vehicle industry chain. This strategic move explains why China did not trouble Apple when the US was pressuring Chinese electronics company Huawei. But times have changed, and as Apple's industry chain begins to decouple from China, preventing Chinese companies from profiting from it, Foxconn too is setting up factories in India and Southeast Asia. When the Apple industry chain no longer benefits Chinese companies, there's no reason to give face to Apple and Foxconn. Moreover, if Foxconn departs, its vacated market share could be taken over by Chinese enterprises. In essence, Foxconn is not as crucial to China as before and can be used as a bargaining chip. However, this analysis may not necessarily reflect the thoughts of the Chinese Communist Party elite. The analyst might be underestimating Foxconn's contribution and significance to the Chinese economy. Despite Foxconn shifting some of its production to India and Southeast Asia, its economic presence in mainland China remains substantial. According to Foxconn's official website, the company currently has over 40 campuses in China, primarily located in Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Chengdu, Taiyuan, Kunshan, and Yantai. In 2022, China's Foxconn Technology Group reported a revenue of approximately 1.5 trillion yuan, around $204 billion, accounting for 1.2% of the nation's total GDP of 121 trillion yuan for that year. This figure approaches 60% of the turnover of the largest enterprise, State Grid Corporation, and is 2.3 times the revenue of Huawei. In the same year, China's Foxconn imported goods worth about 540 billion yuan, or $74 billion, making up 3% of the mainland's total import volume and ranking first among non-energy enterprises. Its exports totaled about 849 billion yuan, which constituted 3.5% of China's total exports, securing its position as the mainland's #1 merchandise exporter for many years. According to estimates from Guotai Junan Securities, at its peak in 2022, Foxconn's subsidiaries employed approximately 1.1 million workers, and around 850,000 in its off-peak period, averaging 975,000 jobs over the year. This accounts for 4.1% of the labor force employed by foreign-funded enterprises, as well as those from Hong Kong and Macau and Taiwan, and 0.34% of the total employed labor force in urban units and enterprises across the country. However, these figures only represent the direct employment provided by Foxconn's enterprises on the mainland. In reality, each Foxconn factory is supported by a number of service businesses or individual entrepreneurs and freelancers, providing tertiary industry services. Based on the calculation that each manufacturing job requires at least 1.5 service industry jobs, Foxconn's businesses on the mainland are estimated to generate at least 1.46 million service industry job demands. When including the service jobs that support its operations, the total employment created is approximately 2.4 million jobs, accounting for about 1% of the total workforce employed by non-state-owned units and state-owned enterprises in the country. Moreover, as one of the world's largest contract manufacturers, Foxconn influences many upstream and downstream enterprises, including over 100 listed companies, not to mention numerous small and medium-sized suppliers. These figures underline the strong position of Foxconn's owner, Terry Gou. Despite providing such a vast number of jobs, media outlets have called Foxconn a sweatshop due to the extensive overtime. But is this reputation warranted? Foxconn's longtime employees are the most authoritative voices on this matter. In their view, while Foxconn may not compare with foreign enterprises, it definitely stands as a benchmark among Chinese private enterprises and those from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. At the very least, Foxconn operates in compliance with labor laws. For example, it fully pays for the 5 statutory insurances and a housing fund for its employees. Despite the frequent overtime, workers receive time and a half or double as overtime pay. They also enjoy annual leave. Importantly, wages are not arbitrarily deducted and are paid on time. Additionally, basic employee benefits such as canteens, dormitories, and recreational facilities are provided. These are basic expectations for any enterprise, but regrettably, most Chinese companies fail to meet them. Particularly small and medium-sized private businesses typically do not purchase the complete set of insurances and housing fund for their employees, if at all. Overtime without extra pay is common, as are wage arrears. Even more unfortunate is that some small factories may shut down abruptly, leaving workers unpaid for months. Employee benefits are virtually non-existent in these scenarios. Therefore, compared to them, Foxconn's standards appear exceptionally high. Moreover, with foreign capital withdrawal and the continued downturn of China's economy, many small and medium-sized enterprises have collapsed, contributing to persistently high unemployment rates. Hence, even though referred to as a sweatshop, Foxconn's recruitment drives still draw large crowds. The majority vote with their feet. Regarding the reasons behind the investigations into Foxconn, we have conducted detailed reporting previously, which interested viewers can refer to. Here's a brief recap. On October 22nd, an exclusive report by the Chinese Communist Party's official media, Global Times, revealed that Chinese authorities would conduct tax audits and land use investigations into Foxconn's subsidiaries. The report did not directly quote any official statements or explanations, using only a phrase according to sources, which is likely an intentional move. On October 25th, the Taiwan Affairs Office of the Communist Party of China claimed that these were normal law enforcement actions, and stated that Taiwanese enterprises should undertake corresponding social responsibilities and play a positive role in promoting the peaceful development of cross-strait relations. On October 31st, in response to the investigation into Foxconn, Chiu Tai-sun, the head of Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, claimed during an exclusive media interview that the Chinese authorities' actions were intended to prevent Foxconn founder Terry Gou from running for president of Taiwan. Analysts suggest that although Terry Gou, the Nationalist Party KMT, and the People's Party belong to the relatively pro-communist Pan-Blue camp, considering Gou's currently low polling numbers, he has no chance of winning. Instead, he may inadvertently ensure the victory of his opponent, Lai Ching-te, from the Democratic Progressive Party, effectively becoming a burden for the Pan-Blue camp, especially in the KMT elections. Therefore, the CCP has intervened, looking to use tactics such as tax audits to force Gou to step back. However, it is noteworthy that on the afternoon of November 1st, Terry Gou went to the Taipei City Election Commission to submit the signatures necessary to register for the presidential and vice presidential elections. This was his first public appearance after more than a week of absence following the news of Foxconn's tax investigation, where he expressed his determination to run for office. Yet, he did not respond to matters regarding the tax investigation. Additionally, recent rumors have emerged claiming that Foxconn is required to pay 180 billion yuan in back taxes, and that an area as large as 20,000 football fields of its land has been reclaimed by the state. In response, Foxconn's parent company, Honghai Precision Industry Co., issued a statement on the evening of November 2nd to refute these rumors, emphasizing that the claims are false. The statement also stressed that Foxconn has always insisted on legal and compliant operations, and that the group's production and operations are normal and orderly. It urged the public to discern truth from falsehood, not to believe or spread rumors, and to decisively report them. The group reserved the right to hold accountable the perpetrators and accounts spreading the rumors. So, has Foxconn been involved in tax evasion or avoidance? In fact, since Foxconn built its first mainland factory in 1988, for the past 30-plus years, it has been a sought-after entity for local governments looking to attract investment and solve employment issues. Local authorities have often deployed their most important officials and offered the most favorable conditions to lure Foxconn to build factories in their regions. On one hand, local governments have provided Foxconn with preferential conditions beyond national policies. On the other hand, Foxconn's investments have indeed propelled local economic development, yielding benefits hundreds or thousands of times greater than the incentives given. But if one were to strictly review according to policy and legal text, numerous issues would likely be found. For instance, in 2008, the Chongqing city government planned to establish a comprehensive notebook computer industrial base, and after successfully signing a contract for an HP 4 million unit notebook production base project, it presented Foxconn a variety of preferential policies, including land incentives and tax breaks. However, the economic benefits brought by Foxconn have far exceeded the preferential policies it received. After Foxconn's entry, by 2012, the number of employees in Chongqing's communication equipment, computer, and other electronic equipment manufacturing industry among major enterprises increased 35-fold, from 320,000 to 11.5 million in 5 years. The value-added tax from major enterprises increased by 7.5 times, and the total industrial output value increased by 26 times. Similar situations exist in other cities as well. Thus, Foxconn represents an enormous corporate system that generates over 1 trillion yuan in revenue each year. It has enterprises scattered across 37 cities nationwide, employing 1 million workers, and involves a large amount of industrial land. There are bound to be some omissions or violations. As for the ultimate outcome of the investigation into Foxconn, it will depend on the decisions made by the CCP leadership.